effective ads. 1. Draw ketchup. Heinz Ketchup in Canada ran a campaign that perfectly illustrates the power of brand recall. In an inspired meta approach, they used brand recall to show their brand dominance to affirm more brand recall. Heinz achieved this by conducting a social experiment. Without revealing who the experiment was for, they asked random people around the world to illustrate the word ketchup. Of course, all the results show Heinz ketchup bottles except one guy who drew mustard. The naivety of the illustrations connects to a sentiment of nostalgia and encourages the viewer of the advert to mentally picture what ketchup means to them. A brilliant example of user-generated content offline. This is a memorable campaign that taps emotion. 2. The return, GIF registered, peanut butter. The return hits several metrics of what makes a good advert. First of all, the team at Publicis who conducted the campaign defined the GIF audience as millennials and that rap music is a top music genre for this generation. Partnering with a rapper like Ludacris creates a brand association with an influencer that resonates with rap-loving millennials. The Publicis team conducted social listening research and found that the new styles of rap sounded like the rappers had a mouthful of peanut butter. This led to the perfect connection of how to develop a narrative for their ad. The advert was also promoted with a TikTok campaign challenge using the hashtag GIFRapChallenge. The return uses a nuanced blend of humor with an audience-relevant influencer in a memorable way. 3. Introducing the Icelandverse. Visit Iceland. Icelandverse by the Tourism Board for Iceland is the perfect example of how to jack a current trend. Following Facebook's Introducing Meta infomercial, Icelandverse was a fast response spoof video that perfectly captured the incredulous sentiment to the Meta brand announcement. Within just 5 days of the Facebook ad, Icelandverse was launched and has achieved over 1.8 million views on YouTube. The narrative for the video is a revolutionary approach on how to connect with our world without being super weird. It trades a comparison between the features of Iceland and the metaverse. You can connect with humans, you are human, right? Skies you can see with your eyeballs. Caress volcanic rocks. The slightly odd main character and the awkwardness of the film offer a brilliant satirization of Zuckerberg to hit the overall sentiment online in response to the Facebook leader. The subtle humor is perfectly timed and is an example of just what can be achieved in only 5 days. Icelandverse is certainly memorable and offers an example of how jacking current trends is a strategy that even small brands can use to get significant viral exposure. 4. End plastic waste. Stan Smith for Adidas Original. It's not easy being green, famously said Kermit the Frog, who narrates the voiceover to this Adidas commercial. As climate change and the theme of sustainability are now essential brand values for fashion brands that want to reach the younger demographics, Adidas has responded with an update on their iconic Stan Smith trainers. The advert featuring Kermit and Stan Smith taps into the current focus on environmental issues combined with the history of the brand. Combining the nostalgic with the modern is always a strong hook for advertising. It might not be easy being green, but it is even harder to produce an advert that can trade on serious issues without appearing condescending or inauthentic. Adidas has tapped authenticity perfectly whilst at the same time managing to get on a level with General Z. They have ticked alignment with brand values and their audience, combined with an emotive and inspiring short film.
5. Sir Hands-Free, Cadillac. Who is the target audience for Cadillac? The grown-up General XS who fondly remember the surreal beauty of 1991 Edward Scissorhands. In advertising, the nostalgia for things from your teens and early years is always a hook for connection, especially for the middle-aged and older. In Hands-Free, the main character can enjoy the thrill of driving on the open road, even though he has scissors for hands. What a way to sell the benefits of hands-free driving. The advert, which is a follow-on from the original film, also manages to interweave current themes of diversity and inclusivity. Cadillac has managed to align itself with current social themes, tap into nostalgia, align with their demographic, and create a stunning, memorable experience all in one advert. Take note, those with budgets that can hire Winona Ryder and Timothée Chalamet, this is how it's done. 6. Fumble, iPhone 12. Yet another advert from Apple that has great timing, great editing, and leaves you a little breathless. Apple is the master of minimalism, which they extend to all their campaigns with simple messaging. Trading on the phone's selling feature of the ceramic shield, the ad puts the durability of the phone at the center of the message in a clear and memorable way. The music by Night Insomni contributes to the panic and urgency of trying not to drop a phone. So simple and perfectly aligned with Apple brand values. 7. Last year's lemons, Bud Light Seltzer Lemonade. When the pandemic happened, at first, brands were paralyzed and unsure of how to proceed. We then had a burst of ads with a homemade feel that drew on the total shock and emotion of what the world was experiencing. 2 years down the line, the pandemic is now so seamlessly part of life, we are so over it. Just when we thought we couldn't take any more pandemic-related advertising, Bud Light steps in with the perfect cultural reference of when you get lemons, you make lemonade. The last throwaway line also perfectly echoes how we are now so burnt out with the pandemic. Perfectly aligned with social sentiment, audience, and brand positioning. 8. Meet the King, Jimmy John's. Aligning with celebrities and fictional classics translates to trading off the success forged by these real and fictional characters. You could call it success jacking or value jacking. It's why celebrities charge so much for endorsements. Of course, not everyone can afford to make a Goodfellas-style short film. But it is possible to leverage this technique by understanding your audience and using cultural references they respect. In this case, Jimmy John's did have the budget for a short film aired in the coveted Super Bowl slot. 9. The ad where nothing happens, Progressive Insurance. In another post-pandemic reference, Progressive Insurance chooses not to make a flashy advert to give people a break from the events of the last few years. People have been through a lot. Well written and perfectly hits the current sentiment of burnout. Progressive Insurance clearly knows their demographic as they also throw in the brilliant cultural reference to an age enzyme that only someone who grew up in the 90s would get. A simple message delivered dressed up as a basic advert that is nuanced with subtle humor. 10. Jessica Long's story, Toyota. Saving the tearjerker for last. The power of the inspiring story. This advert taps into current themes of diversity and inclusivity combined with the hero's journey. Toyota shows the real-life story of an athlete that represents how anyone can overcome, even if their life is not always easy. The perfect antidote to shake us out of any lingering post-pandemic self-pity. It hits social sentiment perfectly. The advert does feel like something Nike would make, but Toyota is a sponsor for the Olympic team. Rather than selling a product, Toyota is using the alignment of positioning with those who work hard to overcome difficulties to succeed in life. A memorable advert that defies anyone to not cry and affirms the Toyota brand values.